Oh, brother. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Ay, 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 ay. Nobody saying good morning? Come on now. Say good morning. Stop being a creep. Oh, yeah. There we are. Carrie, Dobby, what's up? What's up? Whew. So, what's good in the hood? What do you guys want to talk about? I got a little update for you, but I kind of want more people to be here to talk about it, so I'm not doing the repeat thing. If you guys are checking in, please hit that thumbs up. Helps the channel out. I need it right now. Subscribers are going up like crazy, but the channel views are not keeping up with the subscribers, so I don't know what's going on with that. If you guys haven't heard, TikTok has now completely switched over to the American ownership. So everybody that used to say TikTok is all like owned by China and this and that, and it's not the case anymore. They just went through a major switchover, which took down everybody's revenue and analytics and stuff for days and days and days, and finally came back up, and it's still wonky. People aren't getting views on their videos. A lot of people are leaving because they feel like it's even more censored now than what it was before because it's on the American side. So it's not in the hands of Chinese ownership anymore. They're not necessarily 5 in the morning, Denny. It's just I'm trying to do the live streams earlier because I'm missing out on some people getting involved, and some people have asked me to do them a little earlier and then post my regular videos between like 7 and 10 when other people are active, when they've already made it to work, or they're just getting up for the later people that start, so they can watch the videos. But the people that do the live streams, they actually asked me to start doing it a little earlier, so that's what I'm trying to do, is a little earlier. And I have a update that's going to go along with doing the videos earlier. I just don't want to spill the beans just yet until we get more people in the live chat. Then I can talk about the other part. I can't give any specific names yet, but got a couple big things coming up that seem like they're going to pan out. I'm just not sure yet. So we're working it. Always trying to make the next move, you know. Always trying to make the next move for my family, to make sure my family's taken care of, and that I'm evolving and getting better. Last few days have been a little rough. Had a family emergency to deal with. That all cleared up yesterday. Started on Saturday, kind of went Sunday into Monday. Had to take off a bunch of time from work. Had to deal with the family emergency, and now everything's back to normal. It's taken care of. Now I'm back at it. But a little twist got thrown into everything that I was not expecting. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. But there's like 10 people here versus, sometimes there's 30, 40 people here plus. So it's going to be a little different. Maybe there's not a lot of people up right now. I don't know. But what do you guys want to talk about right now in the meantime? Let's talk about what you guys want to talk about for a little bit before I hit you with what I want to talk about. It could be whatever. It doesn't matter. The workout and weight loss, it's getting there, man. I still got a lot of work to do. I still look at myself and I'm like, even though, I've gotten slimmer in the face and a lot of the upper body and the legs and stuff like that, I still look at myself and feel insecure. I still look at myself and I guess it's human nature. I look at myself and tell myself that you look like a shitbag. Sorry, excuse my French, but it's just how I'm, down on myself. I don't know if that's just the military in me or what it is, but I look at myself and even though I've made all these changes, and I'm going to continue pushing to make the changes, it's like still not anywhere near where I want to be. And still, with all the loose skin on the belly and still continuing to lose the belly fat on my legs and my midsection, it's you still feel insecure, right? Even though you've done all this work and you should be really proud of yourself, which I am. I'm still very insecure about certain areas, and I'm working on that. How do you like the new workout equipment? I love it. Absolutely love it. It's not the highest quality, but it'll do. It was a budget build, and that's what I was after. I didn't have a ton of money to really put into it, and here we are. It works. It does the job, that's all. And I ain't complaining at all. I'm not complaining. You guys tracking what's going on in Minnesota? What do you think about all this stuff in Minnesota? Maybe we'll talk about that since people like controversy. I hear people from Maine posting on the internet saying Minnesota's not the only ones with these Somalis that are doing the fake daycares and the medical facilities and taking government grants and funding and stuff like that. They're doing it in Maine as well. Nobody? Somebody got a comment on it. Come on now. Wake up. So, I don't know, maybe I'll stop working out here. I only have like one, this is the last set. I think this is the last set. And then I can stop, chill out for a second, and just kind of ease into my morning. I want to get there early over the next couple days. Like leave the house by like 5:30, 5:45 kind of thing. Because I missed so much work the last couple days. I'm doing a transmission on a 2018 Ford Escape 6F35. I've got like the battery tray and the battery and all the electronics on top kind of laid out of the way. I've started taking some of the transmission bolts out, a couple of the coolant hoses loose down low, taking the starter bolts and stuff out. They want you to like remove the oil filter housing and all that stuff, and I was like, man, I really don't want to do all that, but I may end up having to do that. I don't want to do that. So I was trying to figure out a way how to get the starter out of there without removing the oil filter housing. But anyhow, I made it pretty far on when was it? Friday. I went in and was it Friday? Thursday or Friday. I wasn't feeling very good when I got to work. I started tearing everything apart, and by like by about 9:15, 9:30, I was feeling like I was ready to throw up, and also poop myself at the same time. So I was like, man, I don't know if it's nausea. I don't know if I'm constipated. It's making me feel that way right now. I have no idea what it is. Started to feel like that a little bit this morning. I know the flu is going around. I've already been sick. I was sick for almost 3 or 4 days. The kid's been sick several times. My wife's been sick several times. The baby's had like a runny nose, like snotty nose for like the last week, and it's finally starting to clear up, but it's still not clear yet. And I felt extremely bad for her that she's having to go through this. We keep it cleaned out and keep her wiped and try not to irritate it too much so it makes everything raw. But then you can hear it start to back up and she starts getting the little coughs, and then that's when I know to get that little electronic sucker thing and suck the stuff out of her nose, because it's starting to tickle her throat because it's backing up, and then she can't clear it up until I take that electronic nose sucker and suck that stuff out of there. But then you got to be careful with that because you don't want to overdo it. And the last 3 or 4 days has been really hard. It's been very, very hard. Morning. So especially watching a little one deal with the runny nose, the snotty nose thing, and just how hard it is to get babies to get the snotty nose like to go away. It takes them a long time to get rid of it. We're using the saline stuff that you up the baby's nose, and it kind of breaks everything up. Warm baths, things like that. It does help. All that stuff helps, but she's had it for like a week now, and I feel so bad for her. I think I'm gonna chill there this morning. I'm gonna kill this other heater real quick so we can talk. All right. Well, let's get into the important stuff this morning. I've got a decision I gotta make. A very hard decision. Something that's it's gonna be changing for me. Life changing. Could be life changing anyway. I'm gonna pull up a chair here, kind of get comfortable, so we can have this chat. And if you guys are attentive, you can participate in the conversation. And I'm not talking to myself. We'll have the conversation, but if not, I'll just have it later. I just don't know who's here and who's willing to chat. So, all right. Who's here? We got any business owners? We got any managers, directors, anybody like that here in the chat? Are we all retired and living our life? Ooh-wee. So, Thursday, I got a phone call from a headhunter. My resume is out on Indeed. This lady called me up. She had a very nice voice, very calm, and she says, "Hey, I saw your resume on Indeed." And I said, "Yeah, it stays on Indeed, regardless if I have a job or not. I don't take it off." And she said, "Well, are you looking for a job right now?" And I said, "Not really. I mean, I'm open to listen to what people have to say, but I'm not really looking for a job. I've got a good job, but I'll listen." And she said, "Oh, I appreciate that." She said, "So you have plenty of bus experience in general?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "And you have plenty of diesel experience, you have plenty of like heavy duty truck experience, you have a lot of experience across the board, not just with one manufacturer, multiple manufacturers." And I said, "Indeed, I do." And she said, "You have some management experience, but not a lot." And I said, "Yeah, I was a manager at Service Master for a while. You know, they have a fleet of cars, and I was also at the same time supervisor at AutoZone. I only had like 2 employees that worked with me, you know, that worked under me, and I had you know, like 30 vehicles that I was in charge of, and you know, a bunch of equipment that had to be, you know, serviced and worked on from time to time." So they said, "And what other experience?" And I kind of went over some things with her. She's looking at the resume, and she's like, "That's kind of what I gathered. You got some good experience, and you're not old." And I said, "No, I'm." Um, well, then, Denny, then you might be the perfect person to give me advice then, especially if you guys, some of you older folks out there that have been around for a while that have already been through what I'm going through right now might be the key to, you know, helping me make everything make sense. Um, so I passed the little phone consult with her pretty good. And she said, "Well, I honestly feel, based on what the company that I work for, I'm not a headhunter for basically for just a random agency. I'm a headhunter for the company directly. Like I directly work for them. So this is a direct hire. This is not you're hiring through somebody else. This is not any of that. This is you talking to the recruiter that works for the company itself. So there's no like fees that we got to pay anybody. I just strictly saw your resume and I thought, wow, this guy's the perfect candidate for this job." She said, "Can I pass this on to the area manager, the area director. And I said, well, sure you can. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything was going to come of it. These people call me all the time. They blow a bunch of smoke up your backside, and then they're gone. You know, they talk to you a little bit and they make it seem like it's the most glamorous job ever, and it just all seems like a bunch of BS. Like there's no follow through. It's not really a glamorous job. And why is it that every diesel and mechanic position that normally pays between mid 40s to mid 50s on Indeed and these headhunters and stuff, they call you up and they're trying to get you to settle for like $34, $35 an hour? I'm not stupid. I know what these positions pay, and you guys are all underpaying that call on these positions unless you're a direct hire for the company. And then you get the legitimate pay on what they're willing to. And then there's a lot of room for negotiation on top of that, especially if you're the one communicating with the company that's trying to hire you. So that's what was different about this one. This one was the company themselves contacting me, and I knew there was room for negotiation if I didn't like something or if I wanted something. And I have a good job, which is kind of it's scary when you think about switching positions, because in my field you often do that to move up the ladder, possibly into corporate, and then you move into like director positions, facilitation manager and stuff like that, regional director, and then you move into possible upper level corporate operations to where you're trying to drive the business model and trying to drive business direction and securing accounts and stuff like that, if that's the direction you want to go. And that's not, I wouldn't mind being there one day when I'm older and I just don't, maybe I'm a little less patient, or maybe I'll be a little more patient. I don't know what I'll be like in 15 years from now. But I do know that I've learned a lot from you guys. I do know that I've learned a lot from life in general. I've learned a lot from having girls as children, a wife that has the same mental struggles as I do sometimes, that needs me just to lean on sometimes and just be there for her. I've grown a lot. And I'm at that point in my career where I feel unfulfilled by staying in the position that I'm in. I feel amazing when I get to help somebody on here learn something. I feel amazing when I get to help somebody do something on here that they normally wouldn't know how to do, but because I took the time to not be stubborn, which I am stubborn, you guys know that. Sometimes I can be, and I apologize for that. That's just me. That's going to happen. You just have to be okay with the personality or not okay with the personality. And am I willing to change? Yeah, some. I am. Am I going to change everything about me to make people happy? No, I'm not. But that meeting with her went extremely well. She passed my information on to the area director, the hiring director, area management director for the specific company. And the next day I went to work. I wasn't feeling very good when I woke up. I sat up and I felt really low on energy. Even though I had slept very well, I felt like I did not sleep very well. Like I slept without waking up, undisturbed all night. The baby didn't wake me up. My wife didn't wake me up. I just slept. But when I got up, I felt off. I felt kind of weak. And then I started my morning, went and had my coffee, went out to the garage, worked out a little bit. Did not feel like working out really at all. And probably didn't work out to my potential, but I still forced myself to do it, because in moments when you don't feel like doing something, in moments when you feel like you just want to give up, you don't have the energy, you don't have the drive, that's when things test you the most. That's when things really that's when you really figure out what you're about. Am I going to let this, am I really that sick this morning where I have to make an excuse where I can't work out, where I can't do this, where I can't do that? No, I'm not. Even though I feel off and my energy's off and stuff like that, I can still push through and get a decent workout in, at least something. Instead of making excuses not to do it and just lay on the couch all morning until it's time to go to work, I was not about to do that. So I came out here and I actually worked out. I could have done better, but whatever. I got to work and I was still feeling low on energy, except now the low on energy turned into like possible constipation feeling and nausea. I said, well, do I have to use the bathroom? Is that why I'm feeling sick? So I went to the bathroom. I tried to use the bathroom. That wasn't it. I drank a bunch of water. Then I drank another cup of coffee, thinking, man, that'll make whatever's in me pass. Because drinking too much coffee, I end up going to the bathroom. That's what happens to me. And it didn't work. Nothing was working. So by like 8:15, 8:30, I got to work at like 6:55, clocked in. My day starts at 7.
About 8:15, 8:30, I started feeling like, ugh, just, bleh. Like I'm not gonna make today a good day at all. I've just now realized at this point how I feel is more than just pushing through. I actually feel like I'm sick. I don't think I'm going to be very productive, and I probably shouldn't be here if I'm feeling sick like that. So I was going to push through like another couple hours and see how I felt, and then if I still felt bad, I'm just going to go home. At 8:30, I get this call on my phone from a specific number that the full company name pops up and everything else, and I pick up the phone, and this gentleman, I'm speaking to him, and it's a voice that sounds familiar, but I didn't really know that at first. I'm talking to the guy, and he says, "Hey, I'm the hiring director, area director for this company, and I was looking at your resume. It was passed off to me by our pre-screening girl last night, and you've got some credentials here that I really like: Ford, diesel, buses, heavy duty, over the road, off road, construction equipment. Looks like you do it all." And I said, I do. And I work in the used car department where I'm at now. And I still continue to do it all. Transmissions, engines, doesn't matter what it is. And he was like, your certifications are really, really impressive with Ford and International. And he says, what I'd like to do is I'd like to just go over your resume with you real quick and just, tell you about the job that's at hand, and we'll go from there. Um, so he starts going over my resume, and he was like, "Oh wow, you worked here and worked here." He was like, "You worked here?" And I said, "Yeah, I worked back there for almost 4 years before they shut the diesel department down, and they went to an electric train that actually took the customers from the airport to the rental car facility." And he was like, "I know you." And I said, "You know me? What do you mean you know me?" And he says, "I know you. I know who you are." I was the guy that started on the other side of the shop. And he said, "Remember, you used to go get parts from the parts department and you would walk past my toolbox all the time that last year that you worked there before you left?" And he said, "Didn't you leave there to go be some foreman somewhere at like a dealer?" And I said, "Yeah, I went down to Gina, Louisiana, and I was a foreman down at Billy Wood Ford." And he was like, "Yeah, that's you." And he said, "You remember you walked by my toolbox all the time, and you'd come by and you'd drop a bag of chips off on my box, or you'd bring me like a candy bar or something, or when I'd come to work I'd do the same thing, and me and you would josh and joke back and forth all the time. Then we go to lunch every once in a while." And I was like, "My gosh, I know exactly who this is." And I knew I remembered your voice. And I said, "Brother, it's been years, man." And he said, "You need to come in and see me." And I said, "Oh wow. We don't have to do the phone interview or any of that?" He said, "No. Come in and see me. I know exactly your work ethic. I've worked with you. I know what type of person you are. I already know your personality and stuff like that. I don't want to say too much over the phone, but I'd like you to just come right in and see me in person. Can you make it sometime today, or can you make it sometime Monday?" And I said, "I don't know. Right now I'm not feeling very good, and I'm at my job now, which I feel terrible taking this phone call because I should be working." But I said, "Let me get off the phone with you. Send me your number, your address and stuff like that, and where your office is, and I'll come by, and maybe sometime later today after 3 o'clock, or 3:30, or Monday, I'll try to make some time to come in. I'll come to work early so I can leave early." And he said, "All right, whatever works. We'll work it out. I don't want to take from your job where you're at now. I just, let's have a conversation. Let's talk in person." So I felt comfortable with that. I kept going until like closer to 9:15, 9:30, and I was like, I feel like I'm just gonna heave, and I'm gonna crap myself at the same time. So I go to the bathroom, um, and I did my business. Don't get me wrong. I know this video is a little personal, but I'm being honest with you guys. I'm not trying to be disgusting or anything. I did my business. That didn't help. I still felt sick, and then it dawned on me. My wife made me a bunch of really healthy banana oatmeal muffins that were like that I use to have some carbs before I work out, and then I'll have about 30, 40 grams of carbs when I'm done, maybe 45 grams of carbs when I'm done working out, and that's all the carbs I have for the day. And I use that to replace my glycogen stores that I've just burned off while I was working out. and it helps me recover faster. Um, when I went to go grab that muffin bag, in that muffin bag, Wednesday night, I grabbed one of the muffins out and I went to go bite into it. And when I bit into it, I had a mouthful of it. I'm chewing it. And then all of a sudden, it's like I swallowed it. And then that taste, I was like, oh, what was that? It's rotten. And I just swallowed that rotten taste that came from that muffin because I didn't keep it in the refrigerator and I didn't eat it fast enough. I'd let it sit on the counter for like a day or two over a week, like 8 or 9 days. And my wife was like, "No, you can't leave them on the counter that long. You got to put them in the refrigerator." I didn't. I'm a stupid guy. I didn't know. She knows that kind of stuff. I don't know that stuff. I left it on the counter, and I was just grabbing one every once in a while before workout, and one or two after workout. She said, "No, you got to put that in the refrigerator. It's gonna eventually spoil because it's made with real food. That's why I make it that way. It's extremely healthy, but it does spoil." When I swallowed that and it got down in my stomach and it took a while for my body to process, and it wasn't until the next day that I started to feel the effect of what that was. It was like a light version of like food poisoning or something, but it was very light. So I said, you know what? I can't make I'm not going to make the day. I'm not going to get anything done because I literally got to keep stopping and then holding myself up in the front of the car, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm going to upchuck. So I went and I told my boss. I said, hey man, I'm really sorry, and I feel terrible. I know this customer needs this vehicle done. He said, no, we got time on it. We told them that it would be. We didn't know when we were going to get the transmission, so we bought an entire week. So you're good. If you want to go home, take your 8 hours sick day. Don't even act like you clocked in today and just go home, because he said I'm starting to feel a little off too, and I might end up going home because I feel sick. He said everybody's getting sick right now. So he said, you're fine. Go home. So I went home, came home Friday, and I'm sitting at home thinking about this whole entire situation, going to talk to this guy. And my wife says, what you need to do is you need to eat something that'll soak up whatever's in your stomach. So get like some crackers. I know you don't want all the carbs and the processed stuff and this and that, but just get some crackers, suck it up, hydrate, get some crackers. It'll help. So I listened to her advice, and I didn't want to get the crackers. I made a sourdough like egg sandwich with some bacon, and that sourdough bread actually did help. Like over the next couple of hours, my stomach started to settle back down. I was able to use the bathroom again. I was able to hydrate, and I was like, okay, I'm not feeling as bad anymore. I'm actually starting to feel better. And by like 1:30, I was pretty much fully like over it. So I said, you know what, I'm going to jump in a truck and just go see this guy. So I drove, it takes me about 16, 17 minutes to get to work now. It took me about 24 minutes to get to the place where that I was interviewing at. And when I pulled up, I was like, man, this is not a nice neighborhood at all. This is a really rough area right here. There's a lot of rotten looking houses outside this warehouse district. And I said, this doesn't look like a safe place at all. It's on the south side of Chicago. And when I pull up, they got all these like iron fences around the facility, and they've got their own personal security front and back that are guarding the front and back of the building. Like they got guard shacks and everything. I was like, wow, am I in the right place? I was in the right place. I got a call the fella up, and I says, hey, I'm here. I'm out front. And he says, all right, I'm sending somebody to come get you right now. Just go ahead and check in at the office. So I went to the front secretary receptionist that was behind this like bulletproof glass or security glass thing, and she buzzed me in, and then I checked in, and then this guy came up in like this technician uniform, and he was like, hey, I heard a lot about you. And then he shook my hand. I said, you did? And he said, oh yeah, he's been telling me all about you since you guys talked earlier. And I was like, oh, okay. Who are you? And he said, well, I'm the morning supervisor. I'm the like the shop, what would be the shop manager in the morning, and then we have a shop manager at night. And I was like, oh, cool, nice to meet you. And I said, that's really awesome. He's a young guy, I didn't know his age at the time, but he just looked like a very knowledgeable, very respectful young man. I was definitely thinking between 25 and 30 years old for sure. He walks me through the building, nice building overall, not a bad looking building, a little outdated. And I get to the main office, and as I'm getting closer to the main office, I'm walking through the shop, and there's pallets of brand new like Motorcraft boxes of transmission fluid. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money on that skid right there. And he says, oh yeah, we stay stocked with that stuff. We don't run out. We use all OEM parts. We don't use aftermarket parts at all. We only use the stuff that comes on the vehicle from the factory. And he says, we actually have a whole entire Ford parts department over there that we stock ourselves. It's like, wow, that's freaking awesome. So he says, yeah, oil filters, doesn't matter if it's control arms, bolts, nuts, fluids, whatever it is, they can go bad. We have in that parts department over there. Sometimes we got to order things just to replenish, but for the most part, we got everything we want. I said, wow, that's awesome. So I get to the office, and as I'm walking in, I see the fellow that I know that was talking to me on the phone. That And as soon as I saw him, we like put our arm around each other and stuff. And I was like, "Oh my God, brother, it's been so long since I've seen you. It's nice to see you, man. You look good." And he was like, "Whoa, you lost weight." And I was like, "Well, I was smaller than I am now, but I wasn't as fit as I am now. So I gained a bunch of weight, but then lost the weight, and in the process, I've been lifting a lot. So my weight looks different now than what I did before. I'm actually about 10, 15 pounds heavier, except I'm on TRT now, and I've been pounding the weights like crazy, and it's part of my life now, like every single day." And he said, "That's probably why you look like you do. You look like, like you're bulkier." And Hector says, "Rise and shine, boss. Dew Point 27 in Tampa, 39. Stay warm. Peace, love, brother. Same to you, man. It's cold here. It's in the teens or something, or less than the teens. I'm not even sure. It might be single digits." Um, and he's a Hispanic guy. He's just an amazing dude. Conservative values kind of thing. But that's irrelevant. Me and him get along extremely well. So we put our arm around each other and kind of greeted each other like two long lost brothers. And he was like, "I'm so happy to have you here." And he was like, "Do you know how hard it is to interview somebody, a potential candidate for a job that you don't get along with? They're the perfect candidate for the job, but you just don't get along with each other, or you don't communicate very well." And he's like, "I already feel like we're communicating. We're not even talking. That's how comfortable I am with you being here." And I was like, "That's exactly how I feel." So he said, sit down, take a seat over there." And the shop manager, uh, supervisor, kind of, he had a seat right there as well. And I said, um, "Are you going to take your seat?" And he said, "No, no, no, boss. That's your seat." And I said, "Boss, what do you mean, boss?" And he said, You're my boss in this position." And I was like, "Well, I don't get this here." And he said, "No, you're a facility director. That's what you're getting hired for. You're not getting hired to be a service manager, or, a shop foreman, or you're like a facility director, manager. Like all of this here would be under your control. I have other shops that I have to look at. I would be you know, the guy that was bringing me in, he said, I would be your direct boss, but I've got multiple shops that I have to look over. I'm a area director, and I also do the hiring. And then I have a boss that's actually a regional director that does the final say on the hiring before it goes to the final people that actually contract us out to say, all right, we're okay with that guy. So not only do you have to pass me, you have to pass my boss, and then he's got to present you to the people that approve the contracts. And they don't really look at you as a person and how you interviewed. They go back to the paper credentials, and they look and see if they like what they see, and they do the final hiring off of that. We focus more on not only what can you offer the company, but we want to know what type of personality you have as well. And so I said, so this fellow here that just walked me through, he's like the shop manager. He said, "Yeah, like a shop team lead, shop manager, all that out there is him. He will do the write-ups for people that are late. He will do any type of inventory that needs to be done, that needs to be replenished. He will bring it to you, and go over it with you, and you say, whether or not you want to order this or that, or then he will actually have a daily report on what needs to be updated vehicle wise, what is the constant issues that you guys are starting to see on older models and new models that may not have quite shown up until a certain mileage? Do we need to start stocking different parts? Are parts starting to fail because of manufacturing issues and we need to figure out a different route to go? He'll come and talk to you about all that stuff, but when it comes to like people not working fast enough on jobs, people not doing their job, not showing up on time, maybe they're starting to talk back and get belligerent and stuff, he deals with all that until he can't deal with it no more and they're just flat out not listening to him. Then he's got to bring it to you, and then you have to step in and take care of the problem. And that's either you doing corrective training, however you see fit, you do paper write-ups, you give verbal warnings based off the state law, and then actually having this person sign a written warning, whatever you feel fit, because you're the facility director. I'm just trusting you to do the job. Right now we have a certain set of rules on how we do things, but once you come into the position, you write the script. As long as it's getting done, that's all I care about. I said, oh wow, I didn't know that. Like I thought I was just going to be like a service manager. And he said, no, this is a very good paying job for what it is, and it's an easy job, to be honest with you, because you're not really out dealing with all the BS all the time. You have shop managers on different shifts and supervisors in different areas that do all that stuff. You don't have to do any of that. You literally can sit in this office all day if you wanted to and do nothing but go over paperwork, go over repair orders, make sure everything's charged out accordingly, make sure people are showing up to work, clocking in on time, make sure you're doing your daily meetings with your shop manager or your team lead. Walk in the facility maybe a couple times a day if you want. You don't have to, but going through the facility, making sure everything's working, all the safety stuff is up to par. Your job is really making sure everybody's safe here and doing what they're supposed to do. It's actually not doing the corrective action until your people that are put in play can't do the corrective action anymore because of employee issues. Then you step in, then you take. But if you want to change all that, you can change that too. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I've never been in a position like that. Like I'm confident I can do it for sure. But he said, here's what's sweet about this position. You can come in here and work. As long as I have you clocked in 8 hours a day, that's all I care about. Really, at the end of the day, having you clocked in 8 hours a day and you actually doing your job is all I care about. So if you want to work from home 3-4 days a week, have your laptop, go over paperwork, ROs, things that are being submitted in the computer and stuff like that, you can literally do that and not even come to work. But I know you're not going to do that. I know you're going to want to be here with the guys. You're going to want to be out here while they're working and stuff like that. We send nothing to the dealer. It doesn't matter if it's under warranty or not. We don't send anything to the dealer. It all gets handled in-house. Transmissions, engines, turbos, doesn't matter what it is. These are upfitted buses that we can't send these out every single time something happens. These guys have to know how to work on it and fix it here. Okay. Sure. I understand, kind of thing. And we went over everything, and he says, I won't talk money and stuff yet now, just yet. I want you to be able to talk to my boss first, and we'll go from there. So we talk for a while and get familiar with what's expected, and then he says, you can take off with the shop manager. You two can go out, walk the shop, walk the facility and stuff like that, say hi to people, get a feel for the size of the property. He said, I don't think you understand. There's multiple buildings here with hundreds upon hundreds of vehicles in each different area that you're all going to be in charge of. And I was like, huh? So yeah, there's upwards of 600 vehicles in this fleet. There's 8 mechanics during the day. There's 7 mechanics at night. There's 4 lube techs during the day. There's 2 lube techs at night. You have a maintenance crew of, there's like, I don't know if it was like 6 or 7 people that maintain the property and the buildings. There's a secretary up front. There's a parts lady that works for you. This is all yours. This is what you're going to be responsible for. Oh God, yeah, this is a big deal. So I walked the facility, and you know, I'm talking to this guy, the shop manager, and he keeps calling me boss. And don't get me wrong, I'm comfortable being called boss because of the channel name and everything else like that. Not a respect. There's a lot of people that just call me that, and I'm okay with that. But I also told the guy, I said, hey, look, man, you don't have to call me that. Um, you don't have to call me that at all. You can just call me Rich. You know, you can call me asshole, whatever you want. You don't have to call me boss. Even if I was your boss, you don't have to call me boss. Um, but I'm not going to stop you from doing that either, if that's what you feel comfortable with. And I have not hired for the position yet. And he said, okay, so so you think. And I'm kind of like, what do you mean? And he said, he likes you. I can tell when he likes somebody, and he likes you. So if you think you're not, then that's great. So I just took it for what it was. We continued walking and talking. He showed me the facility, and then he's like, this is where the staging area is here. This is where they all come in. This is where they exit. This is where all the drivers will stand on the other side of the building and stuff and hang out and congregate. This is where they start picking up their individual buses to go out for the day. It's not just uh, contract work for uh, public transportation. There's old folks' homes, there's school systems, there's private contracted companies that contract us as private contractors. And it's all a legitimate government-based system. This thing is it's chaotic sometimes with all the movement that's going on. Um, Well, I don't know, you know, if it's there's some things I'm thinking about right now, you know, that it could be a go or not go. If you don't know, if you guys didn't see the comment, there's a way if this video loads and it's not live anymore that you guys can actually, if you're watching the video, you can go down to where the messages are underneath, and then above it you can scroll sideways and it'll say show live commentary, and it will actually bring up the comments if you watch this video after I post it and it's not live anymore. But Arma said, hope it works out. Seems like a great opportunity for you. Um, I've not seen that name before. Have you been one of the silent creepers here that show up sometimes and don't say anything? I appreciate you saying something, by the way. Thank you for commenting. Um, Anyhow, so we walked the facility, and this young man is like extremely impressive with how he talks, how professional he is, how the other employees like really respect him. Um, So as he showed me the facility, showing me some areas that could potentially be worked on that really need to be spiffed up and cleaned up a little bit, that would need some attention. Uh, Towards the end of us walking around and looking at all the moving pieces and the parts areas, the parts department and all this other stuff, we get to like the last building. There's like 6 buildings on this property, and they are massive. They're all single level, but they're massive. And he said that every one of these you're responsible for. Somebody backs into a door, somebody breaks something, something doesn't work, you've got to get it taken care of pretty much right away because they watch all of that stuff. So I says, oh wow. I said, well, this is a large, very large business or company then, huh? And he said, that's in all the surrounding states in the Midwest. This company's massive. It's not just a single couple states, you know, in the Midwest, or it's not just an Illinois type. No, it's like Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Saint or Missouri. It's all of these states throughout the Midwest, and then some out on the West Coast, a couple on the East Coast. It's a massive company. I said, okay. So there's a lot of potential room for growth as well here. And he said, oh yeah, for sure. We've had several technicians that make it up into management that end up going to like full blown corporate, but it takes some time to get there. And he said, I've heard the stories. I've only been doing this for like 4 years here. I said, if you don't mind me asking, brother, I said, you know what? You seem extremely intelligent. We got to the end of our walk, and I said, if I'm being honest with you right now, and this is all going to be mine, I have to worry about the well-being of my guys. And if you're making my life easy, as the shop manager, shop foreman, shop lead, whatever it is, I feel that it would be in my best interest to figure out what you need. Is there something specifically that you see if I came in the door and I accepted this position? What would be the thing that you would want me to work on first? I don't want to come in the door acting like I know everything. I can help a lot of people here, for sure. But I want to come in the door if I accept this job, and I want to help. I don't want to act like you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. I want to take the first few months and just get to know as many people as I possibly can, figure out where people are at in their skill set. What can I do to help them? What can I do to help train them better and stuff? And he said, see, that was huge. We did have a manager one time that would do that. And he would take like a Wednesday or something, and he would be like, "This is we're gonna do this like a training session on Wednesday for 2 hours, and you might pick one or two of the lower level techs in the shop, and you work on a vehicle with them, and you give them advice and tips and diagnose something together, and it made the technicians feel valued. It made them feel like somebody actually cared. But we haven't had that in years." And he said, you know, with there being a day crew and a night crew, the night crew doesn't even feel like they have a manager. They don't even feel like they're cared about or anything. And he said, so the number one thing that I can honestly tell you that would help the shop out a lot are the things that people don't speak about. It's not necessarily pay. It's how these people are valued. If you just go around and meet with them a couple times a week, maybe even just every day for like 5 minutes, how you doing? What are you working on today? Hey, I appreciate that bus that you just got done, or that van, or I appreciate that truck you just got fixed and put out there. That was fast, and you did some really good work, and that helped me out a lot. You know, pay them a compliment, get to know them, ask them how their day is. Nobody here does that. It's such a large operation with so many managers and supervisors everywhere. Nobody actually individually asks the employee about how they're doing or pays them compliments for the service that they're providing. And I was like, all right, I can do that. That's something I can do for sure. And I think it's necessary. You guys know I preach that all the time. Not only is pay an issue, it's actually how you value the employees that are working for you, that are allowing you to have that job, you know, that are allowing you to be able to work the job the way that you are. And he said, that's it. These guys here, they don't really feel appreciated too much. And the night guys, they don't even get to see a manager or anybody, so they feel like all alone. Like, okay, whatever happens, happens. And if it's good work, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. But nobody's ever actually going to fully appreciate them because they don't even get to see them. And he said, so if like maybe once a week, work half the day in the morning and half the day at night, you still get home at a decent time, and at least the night crew gets to know you. And they, you know, maybe every other Friday or every Friday, we had a manager, they let you have the budget for it. How about get some good food for them? We had a freaking pizza party. How about get like Bona Beef for somebody, or one of these Italian companies to actually cater good lunch for these people? Not some cheap $5 pizzas, like some actually good food that they can enjoy. And I was like, wow, these are things that are too easy to do that just people haven't been doing. They've actually been neglecting. And he said then some training from time to time would be nice, where we don't have that. And it'd be nice to have somebody like you that's as knowledgeable as you are to actually show these guys some things on these vehicles. And I was like, you know what? This is awesome. This feels already like I didn't even accept this job, and this already feels like home. So I hope I'm not hurting myself by feeling this way, because it's going to be a huge letdown. And when I just got done talking to him and stuff like that, and I said, my last question to you is this, and I cannot promise you that I'm going to be able to do anything about it. We're going to part ways from here. Our tour is over. What do you individually need? What do you think needs to be changed about your employment status here? I want to know what you need, not the shop, but you individually. And he said, he was like hesitant, like he didn't know what to say, because, you know, I think he probably thought, is he setting me up like he's going to come on here as my boss and then turn around and let me go, because of, you know, me saying XYZ. And I said, no, be honest with me. I haven't even got the job yet. And he said, technician pay. He said, I think with the amount of responsibility that I have during the day, I take 8 guys off of your hands. I make sure they stay working. I make sure they work fast enough. I make sure all the work orders and stuff are organized for you. I make sure all the parts are put on the tickets. I make sure that if somebody needs to be counseled or they need In the military, we call it counseled, or they need to be talked to about showing up on time and not screwing around on the job and stuff like that. I do all that for you. I do all of it and still have to get my work done. I think that I should be at least making somewhere around $40 an hour, and I'm not. And that bothers me. And I was like, oh, wow. You're really underpaid for all the work and the responsibility that you have. You're really underpaid. So he said, I would like that. I know you can't do it for me right away, but I would like to work on that in the future, because I think I deserve that. I said, okay, I can't promise you week one. I can't promise you month, the first month or the first year. But what I can do is try to show them the value of having me there and making decisions and stuff like that at this facility. And then when I submit for pay raises and stuff like that, they're less likely to say no to me because I've been saving them money. I've been saving them time. We're diagnosing vehicles right the first time. We're not just throwing parts at stuff. We're actually overall, when you see the amount, the quality end up taking care of itself and costing the company less money, inspecting vehicles properly, showing up on time, being efficient with our clocking in on jobs and out on jobs and stuff like that, making sure things are charged out accordingly, and really tightening up in those areas. I think we could probably show them quite a bit less loss, which then would leave more room for more money. So I got an idea. I think if I accept, I know what to do. I kind of know what to do, and I'm gonna lean on you a lot to help me figure that stuff out, so we can make that stuff better for people. And then you help me figure out who needs training and stuff like that. I said, there was a vehicle we were standing by and it had the front cover off of the engine and the timing chains. I said, just a quick question for you. I just want to figure out where you're at. See that timing chain that's there? And he said, yeah. And I said, what are you doing right there? What's that job? And he said, well, the guy's doing timing chains on it because this thing's got, I think it's got like 70 or 80,000 miles and it's rode pretty hard and they're starting to make noise and the guides are kind of wore out a little bit because it's stop, go, stop, go, stop, go all day. Good morning, Kevin. And he says, we're doing timing chains, guides on it, tensioners. And I said, okay. I said, what if that thing had like cam correlation codes or some kind of timing codes? What would you check? And he said, probably just check like timing position, like time the engine. If I had the front cover off, I'd make sure everything was at TDC and all this other stuff. And I says, okay. Would you think about looking for codes? And he said, oh yeah, for sure. I'd look for codes because that's how I know I got timing stuff. Checking in to watch you work out. I'm not done working out now. I'm talking about this life-changing event that may end up happening very soon. And I said, so you'd check cam phasers, you'd check guides, tensioners, all that stuff. Make sure all that stuff is good. And what if you couldn't find anything? What if everything looked good, but it wasn't? And he said, well, I don't know. I mean, I said, well, look, man, here's the situation. Sometimes, in order to verify things, we got to take things apart. You can't just rotate the engine over and expect to know everything about what's going on with it. Timing chain, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, right? So he says, okay, where are you going with this kind of thing? Kind of looking at me like, that's weird. I said, well, these transits have a tendency to shear off the actual crank pin. So if you've never seen that, there's a specific way you can get that crank pin out of there, but a lot of technicians get stumped and they don't know how to do that, and they want to put a whole crankshaft in the thing because they think it's damaged. And that's not the case at all. And he said, oh, wow. And I said, well, there's just a pin. Remember back in the day, we used to have a long rectangular cut Woodruff key? That would really lock in your cam gear or your harmonic balancer, keep it nice and locked in. Would they shear off? It may be under extreme situation, sure. But it was harder for a Woodruff key to shear off because of how long and wide it was versus a little locating pin that goes in a gear that's constantly getting slammed by two chains all the time. And he says, okay, I'm tracking, I'm following you. I said, what if that little pin, with this being vehicles that are shock loaded all the time, what if that little pin shears off and that gear in the front turns? I would have never thought to check that. And I said, yeah. See, that's the kind of stuff that I think I could come on board, the things that I have seen, the things that I do know how to help, how to show you guys how to diagnose, how to play with cam phaser advancement, like advancing and retarding the cam phaser to actually look at correlation positions when you're looking at your parameter identifiers to actually let you know whether or not something is wrong with the phasers themselves or possible timing chain issues or the cam to crank correlation. Let's go ahead and time the chains and everything to the gear, time the chains to the crank, but then let's look and see where our locating pin is for that whole entire situation. You might find that the gear is here and the chains and everything line up, but the locating pin is over here. So it doesn't quite want to line up right. And then you pull all that stuff apart and you find that there's a big groove that's cut on the inside of that drive gear where that pin has sheared or it's sheared just enough for it to slip back and forth. And sometimes it's in position, sometimes it's not. And he was like, I never thought about that. That would have chased my, and I said, it's okay. So there's a little room for everybody to learn a little bit, even me. So, and I said, I'm kind of excited about this. I don't want to get too excited. So, he walked me to the front door. I parted ways. I was really impressed with the young man's, just how respectful he was overall. And, he was definitely somebody that I would be proud to work with. And I feel like taking on that much responsibility, he does deserve better pay for sure. And that will definitely be something that I would work on if I took the position. So I didn't think anything of it. I left. I got a call from the guy that originally brought me in, and he said, "Well, how do you feel about me letting you know that you got the job?" And I said, "Well, I thought you were just playing around when we were in the office." And he said, "No, you got the job. The job's yours. I want to hire you. You're the only person that I would even see fit for this job just based off my comfort with you. I've worked with you before. I know you really care about the employees. You're not all about numbers, numbers, numbers. It's about quality first when it comes to employees versus trying to drive up some kind of crazy high number. That's not what I'm focused on right now. I want my guys happy. I want them taken care of, but I also want to know that I've got the right person in place that's going to continually do that and not give up on them." And he said, we have to start looking at things in this industry as we need to change the culture. This industry is going to shit. We need to change the culture of this industry, and it can't be all like busting somebody's balls every time you turn around. These guys want to know who they're working with. They want to know who they're working for. They want to know that they're appreciated. And we need somebody like you to come in and do that. Plus, look out for their training, look out for their ASEs and all that other stuff. And I said, okay, I appreciate that. He said, well, you're hired with me, but I don't do this final deciding. I put in for it that I want to hire this guy. And then my boss, which is the regional director, he has the final say so when it comes to the company. And then the contract people that sign our contracts, that pay us all the money and stuff to do what we do, they have the ultimate final say. If they don't like your paperwork, you don't get hired. So yesterday I got a call from, I'm dealing with this family emergency over the last few days. I didn't have much of a 40th birthday on Saturday. Some issues arose that were pretty extensive. Took care of it though. Everything's fine now. And Tuesday afternoon, I get a call. When I say late afternoon, not quite evening time yet. It was like 2:30, I think. I did a Microsoft team call with the regional director, and me and him talked for about 45 minutes. And he says, how would you do this? How would you do that? I see you've got some like experience here. I see you got some fleet work. You got dealership work. You got diesel work. You got all this work, and we've got a ton of different vehicles in our fleet. Looks like you pretty much know how to do it all. And I said, I know the multiplexing systems. I know all the handicap stuff. I know the guidelines for all the handicap stuff. I know all the safeties on the buses, or the buses and the vehicles and stuff in general that are special needs vehicles. I know how pretty much all of that stuff works. I know how it needs to be engaged, what safety features need to activate whenever you're stopping to pick one up, put like a handicap. I know about all that. I know how to diagnose a lot of it. And it was like, well, that's one reason why we wanna hire you. But the other reason is the fact that you brought up the shop culture first. My director, my area director did not have to do that. You brought up the shop culture first. And we've never had anybody interview that way that brought that up first. And the fact that that's important to you lets me know that you don't want to just come on board to make a bunch of money. You want to come on board to build a team of people that feel happy to come to work, that don't want to regret coming to work, that they're actually going to be there and be proud to be there, and they're going to put out good work, and they're going to look up to you. So he said, here's where I'm at. You're hired. My area director wanted to hire you. I love talking to you. I think you're the guy for the job. You're hired. You got to go through one more person, though. Ultimately, that's the people that sign the contract. So we're going to get off this call now. I'm going to push it back through to him. He's going to send the paperwork into our contract approving company that basically says what we can and can't do. But you can't make it there unless you go through us first. And we like you. So expect a call in a little bit. If everything goes through, it might be tonight, it might be tomorrow. And they're going to make you an offer. Think about it. And then in a couple of days, we'll have some paperwork out too, so you can look over benefit package and everything else and see if it all jives, and if it fits your family's need. Go over it with your wife and stuff like that. It's very important to have your wife involved to look at everything with you and see if you guys like it. And then last night again, I'm not trying to get excited about this because this is a lot of responsibility. Most people go their entire lives and never even have this type of responsibility or able to work in this type of capacity. I'm 40 years old. I've barely been a manager 2.5 years. And I'm moving up to something as extensive as being responsible for millions of dollars worth of equipment, 6 different facilities, government contracted work. This is a huge step for me. It's massive. Who, in my experience, that's just a mechanic, gets this type of opportunity to go do something like this? It doesn't just come around. It's not that easy to just get the foot in. I think this is God looking out for me right now and showing me that he's throwing things my way. I just have to bite. But I also want it to be right for my family, So we were going to a volleyball game last night, and I got the call just as we were pulling up to the game. And it was the area director. He said, you were approved. And he sounded kind of emotional a little bit, he said, you were approved, and this is what they're willing to offer you. I put it in for this amount. And I'll just tell you guys, I shouldn't be talking about personal business like this, but he said, I'll tell you guys what it is. It's not as much as it should be, but it's more than what we originally talked about. He said, Anthony's calling me right now. I'm gonna send him. I sent him a message telling him I'll call him back. He said, what I want to do is, what I did was I sent my regional manager, my boss, my director, an offer for $100,000. I know that's kind of low, but I sent it. And then he said, no, this guy's he's not $100,000 a year manager. He's the director or whatever, facility director. He said, that's not what he is. He's at least minimum 110, 115 starting, so we can see where he's at and then move him up from there based on credentials. So he said he's the one that actually bumped you up. He said, I want to start him at 110, and then if he can get his other 2 diesel certifications by the summer, let's move him up to 115, 120. And then at the end of the year, if he has the last transmission thing for his ASEs, along with his Ford credentials and the 2 diesel things, next year we move him to minimum 125 salary base, and then quarterly bonuses, holiday bonuses kind of thing. Like he gets the full blown onboard packaging. Um, and let's expedite the whole financial, like, or not financial, but medical stuff. Normally people in a position like this would probably be somewhere closer to 150 to 200, depending. I make 84 right now where I work. That's it. 84. That's what I make. But I'm comfortable because I got YouTube and everything else, and I don't need a lot of money as it is. So I make 84. This is a huge bump for me. This is 84 to, by the end of the year, starting next year, 125, but 110 coming in the door. That's, you know, $26,000 bump for me. And more time with my family. He said, I don't care if you want to start 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You can come in 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and leave at noon, 1 o'clock, be back home with your family, miss all the traffic. You do what you want. You can come in, you could work from home. You know, clock in at 5 o'clock in the morning at home, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I need you here Tuesday and Thursday for 8 hours, from like five to like 1 o'clock. 5 to 1 o'clock, you're here before the kids even leave for school and stuff like that, and you're back home. So if your wife's taking the kid to school, you can pick the kid up. You know, give her a break, kind of thing. You know, baby's got doctor's appointments and stuff like that. You want to start later that day? That's fine. Get your wife to, or get your daughter to school so your wife can take care of the baby, get them to the doctor's appointments and stuff. Then you can work your schedule back and forth, because nobody's going to tell you what you can and can't work. You're the boss of the facility. Just do your job. That's all we ask. Just do your job. Hang out with the technicians, get to know them, make sure they feel appreciated, that you're offering training and stuff like that, encouraging them to train, and start working on the facility. Start making the facility look better. Get your maintenance guys cleaning up areas and painting walls and stuff like that, and make this place look better. That's what the company wants right now. They want everybody happy, and they want this place to look better. So it's a huge opportunity for me. And even if it's not the best paying, or it's not where it should be, how many other people 40 years old are ever going to have this opportunity? It's rare. It's extremely rare. So I said, as of right now, it looks like a yes. But at the same time, I don't want to fully commit to saying yes until I see the benefits package. I want to see what medical is. I want to see what it's going to cost me. I want to see what you guys come out of pocket. I want to see if, you know, like the 401k stuff. I want to see all that. If I can't see that, there's no way I can fully say yes, because even though I make 84 now, I'm okay with 84, because here's the reason why. I only spend $3,600 a year in platinum medical insurance. My family is 100% covered wherever they want to go. That saves me almost $22,000 a year. My company picks up the rest of the bill almost 100%. I mean, not 100%, but let's just call it 85%. I don't pay anything else. I have a secondary insurance that the company actually pays for, that takes care of all the co-pays, the deductibles and stuff like that. I have like really nothing that comes out of pocket. Barely ever do I ever have to pay anything other than just my $400 a month for medical insurance, which is dental, vision, everything's all tied in. And that's huge. That is absolutely huge. So that 84, you know, looks like 105, 110 with my medical packages and stuff. And I got a 401k with 5% match now. And mid-February, they're starting to talk about possibly going to union. They're going to have negotiations done mid-February at the place where I'm at. So my bump would go from 42 to like 46, 47. And then my medical package would be only $100 a month, $110 a month with my union dues. Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I might be losing out by going to this place. But am I ever going to have the opportunity again to do something like this? You know, to actually build my resume, work with other people, teach other technicians. I'm so confused right now. You know, if the union thing goes through in mid-February, that's probably, you know, let's just call it, you know, it's probably closer to $95,000 a year. So I'd be bumped up almost $11,000 a year. And then my medical benefits and stuff would only be like $110 a month with my union dues. So literally, I think with the medical and what I would be making in the union working at the dealership, I'd actually end up making more than being the facility director. Ah, I don't know. I don't know. It's it's something I'm struggling with right now. I'm still waiting for HR to get back. I mean, if their medical package, if they come back with a medical package that says something like, if you pick the top tier, family plan and you're only coming out of pocket $500 a month, it's a done deal. I would go. I would go. $500 a month or $600 a month is nothing compared to the opportunity and um, is and just the type of growth and development there and how far I could actually move up if I even wanted to move up. I probably wouldn't even want to. I would just continue making where I work better. At that point, why would you want to go have more responsibility than that? It's like that's a lot of responsibility as it is. So that's my story. And that's what I've been thinking about, the last couple of days is opportunities like this don't come up every once in a while. When they do come up, you kind of got to seize it. It's I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out. Our big man upstairs will help me figure things out. What's up, buddy? How are you? Rock Your World is in the house. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. What to do, what to do, what to do. We'll see. We'll let it play out. See what the medical package is. See what the 401k is, and then and just go from there. And not make any hasty decisions because I really do like where I work, but I would like a opportunity where I can actually be a bigger part of somebody else's life. Just to mentor and be there for other young men that or just men in general. I never really thought about life that way, but up until like the last few years, I just feel like the better brothers we can be to each other, the better we're going to be overall. It makes us better men. It makes us better for our wives and our kids and stuff like that as well. And that's kind of what I want. I don't want to just be stuck in a dealership, not doing something with my life. But here's also part of the downside. It's I'd have more time to do videos for sure because I'd be at home more. I could build a custom shop if I wanted to in the future. Um, but I'd have more time where I can actually focus on the quality of the videos where I stop starting these like little mini projects and then I never finish them because life and work gets in the way and then I can't finish the mini projects. I wanted to finish the jump pack tire inflator project that I started, a month ago. I cannot even get to it. I can't because I don't have the time. The time I'm that I should be doing it, I'm working out or uh, at work or got like a family emergency or baby sick or family sick, and it's just this way I can kind of custom guide my schedule around my family life and still get all my work done and make a huge like positive impact on other people and trying to make this industry just different in general. Mechanics in general feeling like they're not appreciated and they're just numbers. Like I hate that. I hate the thought of people feeling that way because I felt like that almost my whole entire time in this industry, and it sucks. I always look at the big picture. Where will I be 5 or 10 years at my current job versus making a change? Where will I be if I stayed in the current job where I'm at as a used car mechanic, journeyman paid mechanic? I'd be in the same position doing nothing any different than what I'm doing now. No growth, no development. It'd be the same exact thing of what I'm doing right now. What would I do if I made the change? Probably about the same money, if not a little better. Um, I would have a lot more experience being responsible for millions of dollars worth of equipment, facility management, employee management at a completely different level. Working with some big companies, trying to get the hang of corporate management, and something a little bit more serious on people watching you and making sure you're actually adhering to safety policies and stuff like that. And it would be a lot of growth. But if I ever went back to dealership life, it would be a culture shock. You'd go from being a mainline tech or a used car tech to moving up into this extremely responsible position, and then if it failed and flopped and you went back to what you were doing, it would be like, shit, man, this is a completely different life. This doesn't even feel right anymore. How long can you continue working and wrenching? Well, that's the thing too, is like, you look at most technicians, or in my experience, I can't speak for everybody, I can't speak for all of you guys, but if you look at a lot of people in this field that have been doing this for a while, um, look at how they look, man. Their bodies are broke down. Their hands don't want to work right anymore. They walk with a limp. They hurt all over their body. It's just, if I'm looking at the guys that mentored me and the guys that I see in this field that have been in this field long term, once they start hitting their 50s, 55 years old, you can see they walk kind of hunched over. Their hands look all just boned up and calciumed up and stuff. And a lot of them that I've worked with, at the Ford dealership, they started saying when they got closer to 50, they started having a lot of like elbow and shoulder and back problems, and just health problems and stuff in general. And by the time they're 60 years old, they look terrible. So I'm thinking, and Craig is right. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Family first. Well, and that's where I'm at right now, is what is the other side? That's kind of what I'm asking right now, Craig, is what is the other side? Is um but this dealership is changing. There's some caveats to all of this, right? There's some this dealership has changed management twice. The technicians were kind of unhappy about some things that were going on. They wanted to vote the union in. Everybody got together and voted the union in because of all the things that were going on. Well, now the union's coming in mid-February. Supposedly, the negotiations should be done sometime around then, if not towards the end of February. There's been change after change after change after change. 15 years from now, 20 years from now, do I want to look at myself and be like, yeah, you were a used car tech for the last 20 years? Or would I like to look at myself and say, damn, you managed millions of dollars worth of equipment. You had employees under you. You did great. You changed people's lives. You were able to schedule stuff around for your family, and you really changed your whole life to make sure you were there for your family in such a better environment. Like right now, don't get me wrong, I can still do a lot of the stuff that I would be doing in the future, except I miss a lot of time with my kid. A lot of time with my kid, man. And she's so important to me right now. My family's important to me, right? So if I could be to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the kid, she's not getting up until 7:30. I've already worked 2.5 hours of my kid being asleep that I normally wouldn't get to spend with her anyway. Well, that saves me 2.5 more hours a day that I'm actually going to get to be with her. So if I could work from 5 to 1, 5 to 1:30 every day, and then be here for her and be here for the family the majority of the evening when they are awake doing things where they can see dad, that's an extra 15, 20, 25 hours a week, man, that I'm spending with my family, getting to see my kid like alive and around. And especially the days where I could work from home, if mom's got some kind of important business meeting or something going on and I'm here with them, it's like, it's almost a no-brainer. that I should take the position, that I should take this opportunity, especially watching this girl grow up, and I'm going to miss a lot of that time, and that time starts adding up. I know that it's an extra. I missed out. I miss out about an hour in the morning, and then a couple hours in the evening. Well, now I'm going to gain that 2.5 hours back and that couple hours in the evening because I'm going to be here for her instead of being somewhere else. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to get all excited. I just wanted to lay it out there, kind of tell you guys some of what's going on. Um, Obviously, I won't be able to make content at a facility like this. I can't. I know you guys know. You guys are pretty smart people overall. A lot of you guys that hang out with me here and stuff in the morning just shoot the stuff and give me advice on life and stuff like that. You know, a company like this is not going to let me come in the door and film. They're not going to. It's going to be an extremely private operation that does not want their stuff on social media. And it's an extremely liberal run company that will not like my worldly views and stuff like that. So, just like my boss said, I know how you are. If you accept this position and stuff like that, moving forward, don't talk about your YouTube channel here. Don't talk about your political views here. Don't talk about any of that stuff because this company has like zero tolerance when it comes to that. Just come here, do your job, be a good boss, be a good mentor to these guys, and go home to your family. And then do your videos and stuff at home on the weekends, at night, whatever, on your own vehicles. You can talk about situations that happen during the day, diagnosing something, or like a crazy event that happened where some kind of malfunction popped up that you've never seen before. But no filming at the company, no none of that. So I think if the numbers work, I go. I have to try to take the opportunity because it's not just going to come back up. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And it's as long as people are pretty chill overall, it should be fine. So, all right. Well, that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to go inside now. I just wanted to get that. I know it was long-winded and I could have told that story a lot faster, but I want you guys to know what's going through my mind so we can talk. Anyhow, I'm going in the house. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to get this transmission done today. And I'm going to be positive, not be stressed out over it. Y'all take care. Be blessed. Thanks for being here. If you got any more comments, please leave it down below. I'm out.